Right now at 5 on WHAS 11 News, Louisville as a sanctuary city. The U.S. Attorney General says she was ready to sue, so the mayor makes a major policy change with the jail. Illegal immigrants will now be held an extra 48 hours. It's a big story making national headlines. The Crystal Rogers case is pending with two major sentencings coming up in August. Tonight, we're sitting down with Joseph Lawson's attorneys talking about Lawson's conviction on conspiracy. And then the legendary rocker and Grammy winner Ozzy Osbourne dies just weeks after a final reunion show in England. We'll tell you how often he performed in Louisville right now at 5 on WHAS 11 News. Well, today, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg announcing Louisville will comply with federal immigration guidelines, and then the U.S. Attorney General reacts about it on social media. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm Doug Proffitt. The changes are being made in the hope that Louisville will be taken off the Trump administration's list of sanctuary cities. In June, the administration released a list of cities they deemed to be sanctuary cities. Louisville was on the list. The mayor said today that's because Metro Corrections was not keeping immigrants on a mandatory 48-hour hold in custody for Homeland Security to review. He said his office received a letter from the DOJ saying the city was breaking policy. Now Metro Corrections will be following that policy, and inmates will be entered into a national database that Homeland Security can see, something the mayor said we were already doing. Greenberg saying the risk of not complying is too high.
We do not want to see highly coordinated and often violent federal enforcement action here, especially in workplaces, residential areas, schools, places of worship, parks, and other areas where law-abiding people gather. We do not want the National Guard occupying the streets of Louisville. I will not risk the safety of our broader immigrant community.
The mayor went on to say out of the tens of thousands of immigrants that call Louisville home, under 100 people each year are charged with crimes and affected by these detainers. Well, still, this news has traveled fast across the city today. Our Isaiah Kim Martinez has been getting reaction. And Isaiah, you found this isn't sitting well with everybody.
Well, Doug, it's not. I've been talking with Hispanic community leaders. Some tell me they understand the mayor is behind the 8 ball here, but they wish more grassroots organizations were in the loop before this policy reversal was made. Remember, the mayor today said he's heard the fears from the immigrant community here in the city, and they want Louisville off the federal sanctuary list. That's according to the mayor. Sanctuary cities, of course, are localities that resist cooperation with the federal government in enforcing immigration law. And while the mayor has made clear LMPD will not play a role in immigration enforcement, Mexican-American Martha Sanchez worries what this agreement will open the door to.
Given the fact that the administration seems to every day flip on something that they say and then it turns out to be something else. So therefore, I honestly, as an immigrant, as a Mexican-American, I do fear. I do fear that we're just going to open the door and that there's not going to be no honor. They're not going to honor what they're saying.
Sanchez has lived in Kentuckiana for many years, including in the first Trump administration. Now, I asked her about this post. Attorney General Pam Bondi on X calling the mayor's move a major victory for the DOJ. Sanchez said it's unsettling to know the feds are keeping an eye on Louisville in this way. Later tonight, we'll hear from an immigration attorney right here in Louisville. He's skeptical of the mayor's agreement with the feds. He calls it short-sighted. We'll explain why. That'll be here at 6 o'clock, Doug.
Isaiah, thank you. Well, the ACLU responding to the policy tonight, saying in a statement, quote, by choosing to comply in the face of the Trump administration's threats, Louisville has aligned itself with policies that have led to increased fear, mass deportations, and instability in cities across the country. Statement going on to say today's decision will no doubt bolster the Trump administration's political attacks on democratically led municipalities. End quote there from the ACLU tonight. Now to another top story for you here at 5. He was on trial with Brooks Houck, the man convicted of killing Crystal Rogers. Now in a new interview with WHAS 11 News, Joseph Lawson's attorneys hold fast that the jury had it all wrong. So far as you know, 3 men have been convicted in her death. Joseph Lawson was just convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. The jury decided that he did have something to do with Crystal Rogers' murder 10 years ago and helped Brooks Houck, her boyfriend at the time, move and dispose of evidence. Lawson's father, Steve, had already been convicted of the very same charges. Over a month after his guilty verdict, WHAS11's Alexandra Goldberg, who covered the Brooks Houck trial, and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton had the interview.
Behind closed doors, has Joseph Lawson looked at you and said, I am not a part of the killing?
He has been adamant since day one that he was never in Crystal Rogers' car and he had nothing to do with it.
I sat down with Joseph Lawson's legal counsel, Robert Boyd and Kevin Coleman. No questions were off limits.
You two spoke minimally during the trial. Was there a lack of an argument from the defense for Joseph Lawson?
To be honest with you, again, going back to the disparity of evidence between the two parties, most of the witnesses that went up there had nothing to say against Joey. They didn't know Joey. They had no evidence regarding him, so there was simply no point in asking any questions.
Coleman says Lawson was collateral damage, that police were willing to do anything to get their ultimate prize, a Brooks Houck conviction. Boyd says he believes one piece of testimony did stick with the jurors, Charlie Girdley.
One of the most uncredible witnesses I've ever seen brought before the court. Charlie was the one link that could link Joey to Brooks, and the state Commonwealth needed somebody to provide a physical link between Brooks and her car and what happened that evening.
Boyd says the cell phone data for Steve Lawson shows the father and son were not on the Bluegrass Parkway on July 3rd, 2015. They were just up north at Boston Road. I showed them documents unsealed just days ago from Steve Lawson's grand jury testimony from 2023. None of this was admissible in either trial.
The female juror says, so did you think your son had something to do? I mean, since you moved the seat and stuff, did you think that your son was involved? Steve Lawson says, well, I mean, he plain and simple, we was involved in moving the car. The female juror says, okay, that's ... Steve Lawson says, that's a crime, you know? It's that simple. We've both implicated ourselves into a crime, so now we're both pretty much hemmed up.
So Steve Lawson also had the context of being promised immunity, right? And that all came out in pretrial litigation. So in other words, he was being given an offer of dismissal in exchange for what they wanted to be, what they claimed to be the truth.
So you're sticking to your guns that is not the truth because of police coercion?
I don't believe, and I hate to sound naive, but the cell phone evidence is indisputable.
Steve Lawson, I think, is not above, making sure that he makes statements that are going to save his own butt.
The council filed a motion to drop Lawson's guilty verdict or have a retrial. It'll be heard by Judge Charles Sims during final sentencing next month. In Louisville, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS11, on your side.
The judge will determine Steve Lawson's sentence coming up on August 6th. Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson will be sentenced on August 21st. Well, we heard from many of you about our 30-minute special reports on the trials that I thought I'd share tonight some information with you about the Crystal Rogers case and how it had a global reach and interest. We have the combined viewing numbers from the Steve Lawson trial and then the trial of Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson that lasted more than 2 weeks. Our 9 p.m. special reports had more than 456,000 video plays on YouTube. And on our free WHAS11 Plus app, where we stream the specials, the 9 p.m. report had 19,000 users and 32,000 video plays. And get this, that 9 p.m. special report reached viewers in 49 states and 22 different countries. WHAS 11 News legal analyst Nick Mudd also sent me this email that he got from a viewer named Michael Meserly in Switzerland. Quote, the disappearance of this young mother touched me in a very special way, and I kept thinking of her and wondering what happened on that day, July 3rd, 2015. I watched you every day of the trial on the 30 minutes WHAS 11 evening summary. It was so interesting to hear you talking and to get knowledge from your professional experiences. That email from Switzerland. Now tonight, switching to another high-profile case that ended in Louisville just after 6 o'clock last night. Former Metro Police Detective Brett Hankison is not in prison yet. He walked out of the federal courthouse last night as he awaits any appeals and his prison assignment from the court. After a long hearing yesterday, Hankison, the only Metro police officer convicted by a jury in the fatal police raid of Briana Taylor's apartment 5 years ago, gets a sentence of 2 years and 9 months. Not the sentence he was expecting after the DOJ had recommended no jail time. The judge, a Trump appointee, broke from their recommendation. While the 4.5-hour-long hearing was taking place, protesters were outside the courthouse.
They should be grateful that we're still just nonviolently protesting and that all we did was interrupt somebody's traffic commute for a couple of minutes today.
One protester was seen jumping right onto a Louisville Water Company truck on the hood here. Here's a look, a person appearing to try and stop that truck, jumping on it and slamming on the hood repeatedly. Others used megaphones and brought signs to support Briana Taylor's family. During the protests, 4 people, including Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin, were arrested and later charged. In an unusual move, attorneys on this case, now under the Trump administration, sided with the defense in recommending no prison time. Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, called the prosecution disrespectful.
I've never seen such a thing. I've never even heard of such a thing. It was disrespectful. It was heartbreaking. It shouldn't have happened. And like I said, he didn't know who I was.
LMPD has released a statement on the protest saying it understands Taylor's death has, quote, caused pain and damaged trust between our department and the community. Meantime, 3 of the 4 protesters arrested yesterday have either already appeared in court or are set to appear later this week. Robert Taylor was arraigned this morning at 9 a.m. You see him here. Briana Taylor's aunt, Bianca Austin, is scheduled for her arraignment this Thursday, July 24th. Meantime, Scott Rosario Matala and Andrea Anderson are also scheduled for arraignment on Thursday. All 4 are charged with second-degree disorderly conduct and obstructing a highway. WHAS11 asked the Louisville Water Company about the incident yesterday on Broadway, and they did send us a statement saying, quote, safety is a priority for our employees and the community, and thankfully no one was hurt. We'll review the circumstances of what happened, like we do in any situation. Our employee did what they thought was best to safely leave the area, end quote. And we invite you to stay with us right here. WHAS 11 News legal analyst Nick Mudd, who has had cases in front of that federal judge, Rebecca Grady Jennings, is joining me live at 5:30 to talk about Hankison's path to prison and whether or not his sentence could be commuted or even pardoned by President Donald Trump. Well, the other big headline today at 5 o'clock, thankfully, is the change in our weather. Mallory, you promised a lower humidity, and we got it for what, just a few hours this morning, and then the game was over.
Oh, I know. I stepped out, I think around 9 a.m., felt fantastic. By about 1 p.m., that humidity was certainly back. But we are seeing the blue sky, the sunshine in many spots across Kentuckiana. All of us seeing at least dry conditions today, so that is wonderful. Taking a live look out to Scottsburg from our U of L health camera. Temperatures, for the most part, hanging out in the 80s. A big part of that, of course, due to the cloud cover that kind of hung around a little bit more this morning. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s all across the area. Now, those feel like temperatures are still in the 90s in many spots because, yes, we are dealing with some of those higher dew points. Drier air has tried to work its way in from the northeast. You can see the more humid air really hanging off down to the southwest. So Louisville kind of right in between those two boundaries there. But thankfully, any kind of storm coverage far down to our southwest as that front continues to push out of our area. So if you're heading to the Bats game tonight, no worries about rain. It will be a warm evening. Expect those temperatures in the 80s. First pitch is at 6:35, and then low temperatures tonight back in the 60s and lower 70s. Now we are cranking up the heat for midweek before storm chances return for the weekend. A full check of our 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit, Doug.
Mallory, thank you. More top stories here for you tonight at 5. A 21-year-old man and 7 teenagers were arrested for allegedly driving recklessly in southern Indiana. And when police pulled them over, they found several stolen guns. According to police in Clarksville, they pulled over a single cab pickup truck heading into New Albany last Wednesday. Police say that 4 of the teenagers were lying down in the bed of the truck wearing all black and wearing ski masks. During the stop, police say they found several firearms, including a stolen handgun, an AR-15 pistol with no serial numbers, plus a handgun with an altered serial number. Chris Badillo was the adult arrested in this case, and the juveniles were range in age from 16 to 17 years old. Here at 5, the heavy metal legend Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76. Most recently, Ozzy Osbourne was last in Louisville in 2018 when he performed during Louder Than Life. He also performed several other shows in Louisville, notably at the old Louisville Gardens.
This is when I've been one of the happiest days of my life. These kids did such a good job, and it's given me hope. It makes it all what I do for a living worth it. It's giving back.
Seen here with the Louisville Leopards, Osbourne undoubtedly one of the most beloved and iconic heavy metal performers. His family saying it is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love, end quote. Osbourne co-founded the band Black Sabbath in 1968 in his hometown of Birmingham, England. He gained notoriety for his often drug and alcohol-fueled antics on stage, which earned him the nicknames of the Prince of Darkness and the Metal Madman. Osbourne was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease back in 2019, speaking with ABC News about the illness in 2022.
How's your mobility these days?
Not great, but I mean, I have to negotiate everywhere I'm going to go, you know. And I tire easily. But I'm well. Right. My family have been absolutely wonderful while I've been laid up.
Osbourne did get a chance to say goodbye to the stage. His death comes just a few weeks after reuniting with his Black Sabbath bandmates and performing a huge farewell concert for fans back in his hometown, taking the stage for the final time.